Once upon a time, in a village nestled between hills and a shimmering lake, lived a young boy named Finn. Finn was known for his infectious laughter echoing in the market squares, and his helping hands always lending a hand to those in need. But there was a secret that tugged at Finn's heartstrings, a secret he kept hidden under his worn-out shirt. Underneath lay a violin, but one that had tales older than time itself etched into its wooden frame. This violin had been passed down to Finn from his great-grandfather, a wandering musician who had traversed the world, making music and memories. The violin was more than just an instrument to Finn. It was a bond to his family's past, a melody of his heritage. Every evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Finn would retreat to his attic haven. Up here, surrounded by dusty musical scores and his grandfather's worn leather boots, he would let the strings of the violin sing. The music poured out of him, carrying with it the scent of old wood and untold stories. He played lively jigs that made his heart thump like a drum, and soulful tunes that echoed the ache in his soul. Music was Finn's solace, his confidant, and the violin, his voice. One day, a poster fluttered in the attic window, announcing the annual Melodies by the Lake competition. A renowned musician from the capital was coming to judge young hopefuls like Finn. Hope blossomed in Finn's chest, quickly followed by a wave of doubt. Could he, a simple village boy, win against those who had music in their blood? What if his violin, with its numerous repairs and aged sound, was deemed unworthy? Fear threatened to drown his hope, and for a moment Finn despaired. Then he remembered his great-grandfather's words: "Music is a universal language. It speaks to the soul and needs no crown." Taking a deep breath, Finn polished his violin. Its surface gleamed, revealing intricate carvings of vines and leaves. As he tightened the bow hair, he felt a surge of determination. Why should a fancy city musician understand his music more than anyone else? His great-grandfather's spirit seemed to surge through the wood, giving it life. The day of the competition dawned, bright and clear, mirroring the excitement in Finn's heart. As he walked towards the lake, the familiar weight of the violin calmed his nerves. Reaching the shore, he saw other contestants tuning their violins. There was Thomas, the baker's son, whose father's shop filled the village with the aroma of fresh bread. Thomas was known for his cheerful tunes that could make anyone smile. Then there was Alara, the miller's daughter, whose fingers danced across the strings. Her melodies were as intricate as the patterns in the flour she helped her father sift. As Finn's turn approached, the crowd grew silent, their gazes focused on him. Some were curious, others doubtful. Adjusting his posture, he raised the violin and bowed. The opening notes rang out, carrying the essence of his village, the laughter of children playing by the river, the creak of the old oak tree in the square, the whispers of the wind through the wheat fields. His music wove tales of his daily life, his hopes and dreams, his connection to the land and people. Thomas, with his cheerful tune, charmed the audience, eliciting smiles and light applause. Ilara's intricate piece left many in awe, and she received polite nods of approval. When it was Finn's turn, he began his piece, a melody that spoke of his deep connection to the land and people around him. As he played, he saw recognition dawn in the faces of his neighbors. The elderly woman who lived at the edge of the village where no roads met hummed along. The cobbler, known for his grumpy demeanor, tapped his foot to the rhythm. Even Mayor Baldwin, who always seemed too busy to stop and listen, swayed slightly. Finn's music resonated with them because it was a reflection of their lives, their joys and sorrows, their hopes and dreams. The competition ended with each participant playing together, creating a cacophony of sounds and emotions. The crowd applauded as the musicians took their bows, but there was no announcement of a winner. Where was the renowned city musician? Had he enjoyed the performance, or had he found it all too rustic? Anxiety pricked at Finn. Then he heard a cough. All eyes turned to the city musician, who stood adjusting his glasses. "I must confess," he began, his voice echoing over the water, "that I have never heard music so alive, so connected to its source." He paused, looking at each musician. "You all are winners in my book," the crowd murmured in surprise. Was this the verdict? No clear winner? The city musician continued, "But there is an award I can offer. A chance to perform in the capital, to share your music with a wider audience." He looked directly at Finn. "For your piece, which spoke so eloquently of your roots, so full of soul and spirit." A gasp escaped Finn's lips. Him. But he had never dreamed of performing in the capital. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. His heart pounded against his ribs, threatening to burst out. After what felt like an eternity, Finn managed to utter, "I would be honored." A wide grin split his face, crinkling his eyes at the corners. "Then let us begin practicing," said the city musician, his gaze twinkling. "We have a concert to prepare for." As weeks turned into months, Finn practiced tirelessly. Every morning, as the sun chased away the remnants of night, Finn would climb his attic sanctuary. With the violin tucked under his chin, he poured his heart and soul into each note. The music flowed through him, carrying his dreams and aspirations. He wasn't just playing for himself anymore. He was playing for his village, for his late great-grandfather, and for the people of the capital who would soon listen to their rustic village boy. The day of the concert arrived, laden with excitement and anticipation. As Finn and the other two finalists made their way to the grand concert hall, the city bustled around them. Gleaming buildings rose majestically, and the air buzzed with activity. Reaching the hall, they were met by an opulent interior, adorned with chandeliers and red velvet curtains. On the stage stood a majestic violin, waiting for its music. Taking a deep breath, Finn tuned his humble instrument, its wood whispering tales of his journey. As the audience settled, the conductor raised his baton. The orchestra swelled, filling the hall with rich, vibrant sound. And then it was Finn's turn. Walking onto the stage, he saw a sea of expectant faces staring back at him. Nerves prickled his skin, but he straightened his shoulders and raised his violin. He began his composition, the same one that had won him the local competition. But as he played, he realized that this music, born out of his simple village life, sounded different here, lost in the vastness of the hall, muted by the plush carpets and heavy curtains. Disheartened, Finn's fingers faltered on the strings. How could his lively, spirited music become so subdued? Doubt and fears crept into his mind. Had he made a mistake? Was his music not good enough for this grand stage? Seeing his distress, the city musician leaned over, whispering, "Remember your village, the whispering wheat fields, the gurgling river, the laughter of children at play." Finn's eyes widened. That's right. His music wasn't just for this hall. It was for everyone, everywhere. Closing his eyes, Finn took another deep breath. He was no longer just a village boy with a patched-up violin. He was a storyteller with music for his audience. He began again, slower this time, more softly. He wove the music of his village, capturing the essence of each place and person. The audience leaned forward, captivated by the story unfolding before them. They laughed, they cried, they reminisced about their own connections to the land and their loved ones. When Finn finished, the hall erupted. People stood, cheering, whistling, stamping their feet. Even the stoic conductor was seen wiping a tear from his eye. As Finn took his bow, he couldn't believe the cheers were for him. He, the simple village boy who just wanted to honor his roots. The city musician, beaming, congratulated Finn, acknowledging him as the true winner of the competition. From that day on, Finn became a bridge between the rustic charm of his village and the sophistication of the city. He continued to play, not just for fame or accolades, but because music was his gift, his connection to his roots and his story. And as long as he had his violin, he knew he had the most important thing, his voice.